Welcome back to another episode of Pulpit to the Pew. I'm your host, Brother Sean Brumfield, and today I got Brother Ryan Brown with me.
Hey, everybody.
And finally returning back to the show, long time gone, haven't seen in a while, Brother Jonathan Mitchell.
Hello, everybody.
You doing okay?
I wish I had one of them little party spinner things that...
No, I'm not okay.
There's some confetti to
Yeah, one of them confetti.
Too bad on the soundboard you don't have like the woohoo, or like the pop one or whatever.
It's probably a good thing I don't have a confetti gun.
I feel like you'd shoot somebody.
Well,
with
one of two things would happen. I would either hold it in the wrong end and shoot myself, or I wouldn't aim it high enough and I'd shoot you in the face.
That's okay.
Not on purpose.
That's what they're for.
I mean,
Shoot people in the faces with.
yeah.
You're supposed to aim them up and shoot them up in the air.
Have you ever seen those gender reveal things?
Yeah, we did one
gone
for
wrong?
Emma. Oh, not gone wrong.
You ain't never seen anything gone
I've
wrong?
seen 'em
where
gone
they
wrong.
Where they put the powder in the guns, and the guy is always like shooting at the wrong end or whatever, and he ends up nailing himself or whatever.
Or like
Oh,
when
that's
they're
funny.
or like when they have like they're tossing a ball
Yeah,
and the dad has to hit it and then the dad just misses
yeah, and it breaks on the ground.
and it breaks on the ground.
My favorite ones is when they shoot the balloons up in the air, but they can't pop the balloons and they just float away.
Oh, yeah.
And then what do you do in that situation? Is it just it's a boy?
Yeah, pretty much. That's got to be the end.
Yeah.
That's why you go safe and just die the middle of a cake.
Well, I just seen one that was super safe, and the caption was to prevent your mother-in-law from ruining the reveal, and they did it in a bubble. The couple was in a bubble, and they had a black sheet over the top of it, and they pulled it off, and there was like balloons on the inside for everybody else to see.
Oh, that's cool.
That is
It's like a snow globe.
Yeah. We did one, I can't remember which child it was for, but we did one where they shoved balloons in a chest. And so we opened up the chest and the balloons came out.
Did you always know going in?
What?
Like, did you know the gender, or were you also unaware?
No. I didn't know.
Okay.
We found out from the doctors, I believe it was Brooklyn, that we decided to do it differently because we knew that she was going to be our last. And we had the twins and we had Benjamin. So it was kind of one of those deals of, do we want to do something fun? Because the twins were like, how we were told we had twins was Becca went in on an ultrasound by herself because it wasn't supposed to be like a gender thing or whatever. It was just basically just a checkup, make sure everything's fine. And so I was at work, and while she's there, she noticed that the lady, was putting on a screen and then put on the screen baby A. We didn't have any clue. And so Becca was like noticing where she put like baby A or something. She's like, okay, so heartbeat for baby A is good. So let's go check. And Becca finally, she's like, wait. What are you talking about? And she goes, oh, you're having twins. And she said, what? And that nurse was like petrified at that point. She goes, you mean your doctor didn't tell you? And she said, no. And that's how she found out.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. So when Brooklyn came around, we wanted to do something kind of
Different.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do the wait till the gender reveal. Alyssa is like, oh, it'll be so much fun. I'm like, haven't we waited long enough?
It's fun.
I will tell you what I could never do is wait until the baby's born.
No,
That's
absolutely not.
stupid.
Yeah. I could never do that.
How do you plan for anything?
Gender neutral.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I don't know. I couldn't do that. I couldn't.
Tis the feminism of this world.
And that was the start of the they them movement.
Yeah. Zed, Zare, attack helicopter,
Actually-
whatever you want to call it.
Actually,
I
I've got
identify
a
as
bad
a
habit of
toaster.
saying it.
Did you hear what I said?
What'd you say?
I said I identify as a toaster.
No, I didn't see that. Hey, happy National Brownie Day, everybody.
I like
You know that?
brownies.
Why didn't we know this beforehand?
We could have had brownies.
We could have had some brownies.
Had
in there.
brownies. I could tell you what else it is.
I love how you pull up these random days.
Pretend to be a time traveler day. That would be fun.
That would be fun. I could do that.
Okay, hold on. If you were going to be a time traveler, would you want to be coming from the future, or
You mean where would you like to travel to?
No, like if you were to like visit present day, would you like? I guess it doesn't really matter. I guess that's probably a better question.
I don't know that I'd want to go to the future.
I want to go to the past.
Knowing my luck, I'd go to a year that I'm dead, and then that would just freak me out.
See your own grave. That'd be wild.
Tell me, Spirit, is there anything I can change?
Oh, well, imagine you go, right? Like you go in the
You
future.
guys didn't get the reference, did you?
No.
Christmas Carol?
No.
No. Oh, which one? The Muppets?
Just any of them where he goes to he's like, he sees his grave and he's like,
Oh, you're talking
tell
about,
me, Spirit, is there anything I can do to change this day?
Are you talking about Ebenezer Scrooge?
Yeah.
That would be the Christmas Carol, yes.
Is that what that's called?
By Charles Dickens, yes.
I didn't know that was what that was
Yes.
called.
It's not called Ebenezer Scrooge.
I always thought it was Ebenezer
He
Scrooge.
is Ebenezer Scrooge.
Yeah, but that's what I thought it was called. 'Cause
Yeah. It's not called the Grinch either.
it's called The Grinch That Stole Christmas.
I would also
That one
like
over,
to
never,
say,
that one over your head. Never
if
mind.
there's anybody from Panama listening, happy Mother's Day.
What?
Today is Mother's Day in Panama.
No. Do you have anything for Singapore, though? That's our main.
National Lard Day.
I can get on that train.
Let's see here.
I'm trying to lose some lard.
I am too, but
You have slimmed down.
a little bit.
I'm not. I'm trying.
Whatever I've lost, the cameras gave me another 20. Yeah, I was like, it's like Porky Pig over here.
So, like, what's been going on with you guys? I haven't talked to you really in forever. What's been going on? Anything fun? I missed Thanksgiving, which I was sad about because I love the food.
We didn't eat anything.
We had a pretty fun time last night at church, after church.
Oh, good.
Brother Ryan's son came in with a big old snowball and hit me in the back of the head, and he thought he was going to get away with it. But just as he was trying to get in between Brother Ryan and Sister Becca, and I grabbed him by his sweater, and I like yoinked him and pulled him right back, and I gave him a big old grizzly bear hug, and I carried him outside, and I belly flopped on him in the snow. And while I had him tackled and anchored down, I took all the strength that I could, and I just went like, just snow angeled him all over, just covered him with snow. And old boy is like nothing but like muscle and bone. So this is like, he came in, he was like, I can't believe you did that.
Yeah. But he didn't learn his lesson
No, he did it again.
because he hit Sean again with
Why? That's
because Caden is a riot.
Yeah.
Caden is fun.
Yeah.
He's definitely fun.
Yeah.
He's fun at times. And then there's times you're like, I'm going to kill this kid.
Well, from my perspective, so I don't get to be around him all the time. For me, he's just fun.
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing about being like an outsider.
The problem is he is too much fun.
Yeah.
He wants to have, he's like,
There's
everything
times where,
has to be
where
fun.
it's not supposed to be fun. That
Oh,
he tries to, But yeah, Caden, he's a riot.
Who do you think he models his personality after more?
My uncle.
I was going to go with you or Sister Becca.
My uncle. I don't believe in reincarnation, but if I did, he's my uncle reincarnated.
Okay.
And my dad says that all the time. My dad says watching Caden is like watching Rodney grow up all over again. Yeah.
What are you shaking your head for?
I just think it's hilarious.
Oh.
It is. And actually, if I've seen pictures of my Uncle Rodney when he was little, I'm telling you, man, reincarnation.
I'll tell you this.
I don't believe in it, but
This one time we were every once in a while in Sunday school we'll do Bible trivia, and we try to split it. We can't really do it anymore. It used to be pretty even with boys versus girls. So when we were doing it that way, Benjamin is typically my number one answerer in the class. And this one question, it was what tax collector went to go see Jesus, right? And Ben's like, I don't know of any tax collectors in the Bible. I'm like, one kind of walked with him all the time, but okay. But the whole time, and no, this time Caden was on the opposite side, and Caden was just sitting in the corner. Zacchaeus was a wee little man, was he? And Ben's still going, Zacchaeus wasn't a tax collector. And Caden is just singing this song nonstop. Zacchaeus was a wee little man. A wee little man was he. And like he went through this whole song. And finally I was like, all right, you guys have got to give me an answer. And I don't think Ben, I don't even remember. I was just, there's something. Thomas was a tax collector. No, Thomas was not the one we were talking about here. And then I go Zacchaeus, and Caden goes, Zacchaeus was a wee little man. And he just starts waving his hands. And I'm like, Ben, you deserve that, man.
Yeah.
Like that's totally,
There-
that was one of the funniest things. So every once in a while, I'll come up in the middle of like before church starts and I'll start whispering in Ben's ear, Zacchaeus was a wee little man. Yeah.
Yeah, so sometimes Ben's thought process can get the better of him.
Yeah.
He overthinks.
Oh, I've fallen guilty of that several times in my life.
And Caden is one that he's just goes with the flow.
Well, and the problem
You know?
is Caden, he knows the right answer.
Oh yeah.
Every single time. But 99%, like talking about like just being funny, he's going to give you the wrong answer so that it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Got it.
So I have him in Bible class at school. And if we do Bible trivia, I know he knows the answers, but he will never give the right answer and just chuckles. Like it's costing his team. But
He doesn't care. He's one of those people that just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly, that describes him. Yeah.
Just wants to watch the world burn.
Yeah.
He does not have to have any benefit out of the matter. Matter of fact, like if they're wrestling around, he is going to hurt himself more than he's going to hurt them just to make it happen. Like that's just the way he is.
So, okay, real quick though, you were talking about reincarnation. Obviously, I don't believe in reincarnation. My brain, sorry. What would you want to be reincarnated as if you could be reincarnated as? Like, would you want to come back as another human, or would you want to come back as something else?
I don't think I want to come back as an animal.
I don't even want to come back.
You know,
Well,
just leave
that's
me
not the
alone.
answer. It's hypothetical.
I'd just be a tree and watch people.
Just leave me alone.
So it's-
I'd be a tree and end up being turned into paper.
Okay, so you guys, thank you so much. So there was an old comedian. This was when I was out of church. His name was Dane Cook.
Oh yeah, that dude was bad.
He was bad, but he had a joke that he said he got in an argument with an atheist. And, you know, he said they were fighting about something. I don't remember the joke or whatever. But then he said, what do you believe in? And the guy said, I believe in reincarnation. And Dane Cook said, well, I hope you come back as a tree and they cut you down and turn you into paper and make you pages of a Bible.
I heard something like that. I also heard what they, instead of a Bible, they were like, I hope you become a church pew or something like that.
That's funny. I don't know. I don't think it's so interesting to me, like reincarnation and like the Greek mythology stuff. Like I'm so interested where the people think that comes from. And like, where does it originate? Like people to be reincarnated. Cause you would think if reincarnation was real, we would know. Like if I was somebody before I am now,
It beats the whole purpose of it.
what do you mean?
The whole purpose is to give you another try so you would naturally become better.
Oh, well, that's a failed experiment because the world's getting worse.
Or the people is just the good ones have already left, and then all that's left is the bad.
Only people
Yeah.
that reincarnate are the bad ones.
Are the bad guys? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like studying stuff like Greek mythology and stuff? I always found that was so interesting.
Times?
I thought it was cool.
I mean, so it's stuff that we still deal with today. There's a lot of things that has played over, even if they don't believe in the necessarily believe in the Greek mythological gods per se. There's still things that they set up that is still being seen today. Yeah.
It's just interesting, like how people come to come to the formation of their religions that they believe in. Like,
I mean, it's just it's an ideology that's
Yeah.
brought forth from
some-
other spiritual beings. I mean,
Yeah.
that's all it is. It's in a way, it's demonology. You know, I mean, just they're coming around telling a story a different manner. But I will say one of the things that intrigues me though is like looking through history and everything that's been established is how there's consistencies in every single civilization as far as how things were created.
and
you
how
know,
they
like-
fell.
Yeah, I mean, like even the Native Americans, which would, for the most part, disenfranchise from everybody else, right? I mean, completely separated. They have like their version of God, of the Great Spirit came down and, made man out of dust too.
Yeah.
And they all have their own story of Noah and the ark.
See, I always thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Is that every civilization that you read of has a version of their Noah and the ark.
Yeah.
It's all the same. It's a flood and all that stuff, but it's their version. So like they're not Noah,
But there's somebody.
but they are their version of Noah. I mean, you've got it with the Vikings. You've got it with, I think you got it with
The Chinese
With the
have it.
Chinese. I
Yeah.
mean, just about every culture, if you look into it, has their version of a Noah.
Well, the Egyptians, and I guess from my understanding, which this is, I think, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't know. I haven't studied it out, but I think the Egyptians had a Christ-like character in their mythology that wasn't Christ, but it was very similar. He was Immaculate Conception and that whole deal, like in Egyptian mythology. I don't remember his name and stuff like that, but I think it's Egyptian. But there's a lot of people that are against Christians that say that the people that wrote the Bible or the people that followed Christ just copied the Egyptian mythology and just made that Jesus, which we all know that's not true. But I think
it's a mixture of things. I think a lot of that also comes out of Melchizedek, the history of Melchizedek, because a lot of, I'm not saying I don't agree with it, but a lot of people say that Melchizedek was a form of Christ too. But he's just a foreshadow,
Yeah.
it's a foretelling of Christ.
A type.
So you get a bunch of miscommunication with that, and then
I heard somebody one time, an older gentleman, say that he doesn't believe in types and shadows because there's nobody that can be Christ. So therefore, there's nobody that can be a type of Christ. And he was saying this. He goes, "You could believe it if you want to, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't believe in types of Christ and all that stuff." And I'm like, you completely misunderstand that that whole deal. We're not saying he's Christ. There's only one Jesus.
Yeah.
And even though you say people are a type in the Old Testament, that doesn't mean that he is Jesus in that time frame. Jesus is still there. He's still on the throne. He's still working. He's there from the beginning. It's just a foreshadowing. It's a pointing to a characteristic or trait or whatever the person that Jesus was, that we see from the Gospels, and we see now the person that he is today. So there's foreshadows. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. That older individual said, "Yeah, I don't believe in that."
Well, there's also representations. I mean, you think of like Abraham when he took Isaac up and was going to sacrifice him. That ram was a picture of Christ because Isaac was supposed to be sacrificed, which is,
See, actually, I look at that a little bit.
Yeah, completely different.
Really?
Yeah, because the sacrifice, if you read all of that, the sacrifice was when Isaac looks around and he says, "Here's the wood, here's the fire.
But where is
But
it?
where's the lamb?" And then Isaac or Jacob looks at him and says, "God will provide."
Abraham.
Abraham.
Abraham, yeah.
Abraham looks at him and says, "God will provide himself a lamb." But it wasn't a lamb
It was a ram.
that they found. It was a ram. I believe that Abraham was foreshadowing Christ all the way
in the
back then.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my theory with it is that Isaac was kind of like God showing Abraham what he would eventually have to do, which he was given.
It's well, I see it. I can see it both ways. I see the way that Christ is that way. I do believe that it is I'm giving you a nation, and then this is what I'm going to have to do to save this nation. Is how I see it, the tie-in in there as far as the reflection of Christ. But I'll tell you this though. One of the things that intrigues me is I've been listening to a Christian scholar, Wes Huff. I don't know if you guys have seen him or not. He's extremely knowledgeable. He's read the Aramaic and all that. He's studied everything. And he goes into a huge debate on the Quran versus like the Bible, and how, you have all these folklore and stories of like everything. I mean, the Quran is hundreds of years later, right? I think it's like 400 or 500 years later.
Yeah, Muhammad came after a couple hundred years after Christ.
But his biggest argument is saying that Muhammad was illiterate. He couldn't write or nothing. And he didn't write the Quran. The people that followed him, the scribes and stuff that came with him was. So what he did is he has contradictions in there as if he's never ever read the Torah, as if he's never ever read any sort of scripture. Because, and I don't want to say it's like the fourth surah or something like that. It talks about how the people of the book, talking about Christians and Jews, how if anything inside this book is wrong, go and ask them. They heard the story first.
Yeah.
And then also he tells us stories of like Christ whittling as a kid, whittling doves, and then them becoming living doves. So like he's telling all these like crazy stories that have no accuracy or anything. Because up until this point, there is no actual written record of Christ up until here, right?
Right.
Except maybe some letters from Paul and those kinds of things, right? That they could understand. But as far as like a story like that has not ever been recorded. So when he goes and tells all these crazy things, he's telling stuff that he's only heard, like all these local fairy tales and stuff like that. And that's like also some of the stuff that like gets into like the Apocrypha and stuff like that of people coming together and trying to come up with their own stories of how things work.
Isn't it crazy how you can create a legend?
Oh yeah. And it's easy.
So quick.
Well, and the fact that like you have American legends and stuff and that traveled forever. And we think of like information now, like things travel so quickly now because we have the internet and we have the access to all news outlets. Any kind of news that we have access to it immediately with our phones. It always amazes me, like legends and folklore tales. They didn't have that. Mm-hmm. They just had word of mouth of people passing on stories and how it developed and it
through generations.
Yeah, and it snowballed.
Yeah.
I mean, like it snowballs out of control and it gets crazy. And now you get the mist fight, and then you play the telephone game, which is always fun. I enjoyed the telephone game. Like if you get what I'm saying, it's the one where
the message changes.
Yeah, the message changes, and seeing where it ended up from where it started is so funny to me because it's so crazy because it never ends up even close. That's kind of how these legend stories go.
So, were you ever the kid that played the telephone game that purposely said something else?
No, I actually tried. I
never could hear good anyways, so I was gonna mess it up no matter what.
Yeah.
That's my.
I still can't hear good.
So my thing is
I'll just be honest with you.
I always try to win because I'm competitive.
Yeah.
So I want to be right, even though I'm not always right, and I'm not. I'm not an athlete anymore. But it always used to make me mad when I was a kid and I'd lose. I don't like losing. Sean's seen me, and we've done games and stuff with me and Sean, and he knows I don't like to lose. I'm competitive in that way. So even with like a game, even like something so silly like the telephone game, I wanted to be right. I wanted to get it right. So I tried. Whatever they told me is what I thought I heard and passed it on. I didn't intend. I know. Is Caden kind of the person going to wrap it back around? Is he the kind of person that'll just mess it up on purpose?
No.
Not for everybody.
I don't think so, because Caden is very competitive.
Oh my goodness!
If there's something at stake and it's like for him. So here's the deal with Caden. Caden loves to be funny. He wants people to.
That's the aspect. It's not to destroy
He's not trying to.
He wants to make it fun. Well, that's what I'm saying.
But at the same time, that boy loves to win.
Yeah,
it depends on what mindset Caden's in at the time.
So to be honest, that I can relate to Caden.
The big thing is if it's something that he wants, he's going to do his best to make it happen.
Whether you're paying attention to some of the things that he's doing or not.
If he wants to win the game, he's going to be so competitive that he is not going to do anything to mess that up. If he's done with the game and he's ready to move on, he will do anything in his power to get.
But he will do it to try to make people.
Yeah.
That's me. So I like to make people laugh. I like to have fun and joke around. So me and Caden, I think, would get along pretty good then, because I'm that way. Where like I'm ultra competitive. If I want to win, I'm going to try my hardest to win. But I also like to make people laugh. I'm very self-deprecating, and I don't think Caden's that way. But I'm very self-deprecating in that way and stuff like that.
I think it also depends on the response that you get. Like if he gets a big response, positive or negative, to him he's done what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
So he'll do it again.
Yeah, he will replicate. He will replicate for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like
It's fun to
we
watch,
keep
though.
jumping back and forth, but like, isn't it crazy? Like, you talk about playing telephone and like how things can be,
Misconstrued.
misconstrued. But then again, up until Moses, it's all oral history.
Mm-hmm.
So the memorization that it would have to take to remember all those things is just like,
Well, I mean, you got to figure they were telling about everything that God had done
Yeah.
for them. I mean, can you imagine?
I mean, I know it's
And-
all inspired
Right.
by God,
But
but
can you imagine though? Because today, and I think about this a lot. Today, we talk like we don't hear God speak, and so anybody listening, don't think that means that I'm saying that God doesn't speak.
yeah,
But as far as when you go
verbal-
when you're reading the Bible, especially Old Testament prophets and stuff, they're hearing God, the voice
Yeah.
of God speak. It's a verbal.
It's an
It's not a
transcription
in the
this
thought
or that.
process or anything. It is an audible thing. And Moses not only heard him, but Moses got to see a glimpse what he could handle.
Right.
Got to see a glimpse of him. They seen his power. Now we see his power through the Holy Ghost. Right? So imagine, if you will, being in this time where Adam and Eve literally walked with God.
Yeah.
Okay. And then obviously that changed because of sin.
Yeah.
But he still didn't stop dealing with man. If that was the case, you wouldn't have Seth and you wouldn't have Noah
Right.
and Enoch and all of those. If he quit dealing with man, you wouldn't have all these individuals, right? But they heard audibly
Yeah.
the voice from God. So think about everything that you remember church-wise in your life. Everything that you remember church-wise in your life. I'm going to dare say that 99% of it, outside of the 1% that typically is kind of funny or something else happens, 99% of what you guys or what we remember in church is when God does something significant, miraculous,
Yeah.
prophecy, the way that the Holy Ghost moves, and all of this stuff. So put yourself in that time.
Yeah.
You're not gonna forget
That the Red Sea was parted.
that God's speaking. So that's going to be consistently passed down from generation.
Well,
to
not just that.
generation.
I heard something that was really cool, and they're not Christian in the least, but Neil deGrasse Tyson was talking with a neuroscientist
Mhm.
and said that some of the, and obviously they're talking about evolution and stuff like that, but there was a nugget that they said something about how one of the first things that pops up in like our brains, the strongest sense in our brain is anything to do with music, right? So
Yeah.
song, rhythm,
Yeah.
those kinds of things. And so what they were saying was that something that's super unique is that they may not remember a story word for word, but they would have a
They would have
song,
that song.
that would tell
the praise.
the tells. Yeah.
So the other thing that they had is every time something significant was done, they'd build an altar.
Right. That too.
And so anytime that they would go past, because, that stuff stood, it's probably not there today
Yeah.
per se, but back in those times they stood. I mean, think about when he split Jordan and he told them while the river was still split to grab those 12 stones from the rivers,
Yeah.
from the
Representing-
bed of the river. He said, actually, they do it. They set the stones up in the river and they got the stones outside of the river. And
Yeah.
they said that way when they come by or if they travel or any of your youngins see any of this stuff, and I know that it's just,
Paraphrasing.
but
Right, right.
basically, if any of your children see these, they're going to ask, well, that's different. What meaneth these stones? Well, let me tell you what happened.
Yeah.
So every time that something was done, Abraham made an altar right there at the place where he was supposed to sacrifice Isaac, right? You have places where Moses creates altars.
Yeah.
And you have places where Noah, all these places, they created altars. So not only were they making songs and praises, not only were they remembering the significance because they heard the voice literally at that time.
They're making
from
landmarks.
God, but they're also, yeah, exactly. They're making landmarks. So whether generation from generation goes down from that point, and they have the words word for
Yeah.
word verbatim. They've got visual, they've got songs, they've got where, man, when he told me this story, it was so true
Yeah,
because
chill bumps.
Yeah.
I was there.
so there was so much, you had so much for moving with all of that.
I would love to find like written history. I mean, obviously Egypt's been around a long time, and apparently so long that, according to historians, that the pyramids were done by the time the Israelites got there.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, that's a long time of history. But like to go back and like read some of the history of like when the Israelites came into Egypt. And
I would like
all
to
that kind
find
of
out when the aliens started helping them build the UFO.
or the
pyramids.
the power turbines underneath the pyramids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why, like, with the time travel question, I would 100% want to go back in time and see these things come to pass. How did it happen
There would be certain events
that you'd
that-
want to see?
Like I think it would be cool to not be a part of it, kind of just be
Of spectator.
a spectator. Like if it was one of those deals where it's like you're not going to be immersed in it, there's no chance that I'm going to get stuck behind, and I could just be a spectator. I would love to see the Red Sea split open
Oh, it's so cool.
in a heartbeat. I'd love to see that because there's so much at play that your imagination just runs wild with
that or the Death Angel
yeah.
to see him come through. Like what
What does it look like?
was it? I mean, was it just a simple?
Just
Was
Could
it a
they?
fog?
Was it so quick? Nobody knew what happened.
yeah.
Or was it like crying and misery throughout the whole night? Like you could hear it in the neighbor's house.
Yeah.
Like this. Like it's just like
Yeah, but even
that
with
kind of just blows my mind.
Okay, so with that being said, would it have been something where the death angel was loud with the sun? Because if it happened in the middle of the night,
That's what I'm saying. Like,
So-
was it so personal that he literally took the hours of the night to go through and just take a couple minutes with every single one, or did it just
Yeah.
go like that and it was done and you could hear the moaning in Egypt of everybody?
Yeah.
who had
I think it would
realized
be.
their son.
To be honest, I don't think it would have been something that was drawn out. I think it would have been very quick. Just my personal opinion.
I'm not talking about like torturing them.
No,
I'm talking about.
no, that's not what
I'm talking
I mean.
about walking house to house at a normal pace. Okay, this guy gone.
Yeah, I
or
get what you're
was
saying.
it just he came down, read a scroll and boom, it was done. You know what I mean? Like
Well,
all that kind of crazy.
What I
stuff.
kind of think, if you want my opinion, I think it was something that he was walking as he was passing, because the blood on the doorpost. The blood on the doorpost. He's seen
Yeah.
the blood on the doorpost, and he would pass over. It's what whatever. So I
Yeah,
think
but he
I
could
think
have
he
said
would.
that just to explain that to them in a way to be relatable. But I mean, who knows?
I
mean,
think if anything, like he walked like.
I don't think it was a quick thing in my opinion.
I think he walked down
no,
the.
I don't think it was split seconds.
Yeah,
I think
don't either.
I think he walked down the road, like he was like walking.
But like I said, it's like I tell people that
it's
has
just
absolutely nothing to do with it's just
Your brain.
the
It's-
stories of it all. That I would like to see. I would like to see, because I've actually been teaching this in my Bible class, the story of Israel, Moses, and Egypt,
the
and all that
Exodus,
stuff.
yeah.
And to make the statement that the reason why Egypt went through all of that and the children of Israel, I mean, think about it. God hardened Pharaoh's heart.
right.
There's no person in their right mind that would go through everything that they went through and be like, okay, look, even though he had magicians that was able to copy some.
What
As soon as you turn my water to blood,
That's
dude,
what I was
I'm
thinking.
out.
Like what?
Well,
what
the
in the
reason why
world?
Bye.
the reason why he didn't is because his magicians could do it. If you read the scripture, his magicians were able to copy, just like they were with the snakes. Not
could
in
copy,
the same
but
caliber.
They couldn't.
Not in the same
resolve.
caliber. They couldn't
But my-
resolve it, but they showed the same. So in his way of thinking, because you got to figure Pharaoh at that time, because Egypt was such an old
He was the most
civilization,
powerful man.
Well,
in the
he was
world.
he was a god in his mind.
in his mind. He was
Yes,
a god in
he was a
his
god.
in his mind. Exactly. So all of that stuff takes place. Like you read the scriptures and you can kind of get a sense of where he felt he was. But even with all of that, God on numerous occasions said that he was going to
Harden his
harden
heart, yeah.
Pharaoh's heart. And you can read a whole lot into that. Why did he do that? I personally think it was because he was proven to Israel
Who he was.
who he was.
Yeah.
Because he knew that Israel was going to turn back around and
Well,
say, wouldn't it be better for us to be in Egypt?
Not just that, but Egypt had a track record. You know, I mean, this wasn't some young civilization that, I mean, it wasn't like, not like Nineveh,
Well, they were
who was going
powerful.
to turn around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were
This
powerful.
was-
They were.
This has went through multiple coups.
Yeah.
Every time a coup occurred, more wickedness came in. You know, all this stuff has happened. It's
Well, they
just
were
crazy.
powerful. Like you said, they were the most powerful civilization at the time. So the Pharaoh thought of himself as a god.
Mhm.
But to like, I know you said his magicians could mimic and stuff, but it still does, like, even though your magicians can mimic it, right? It still doesn't fix the problem of your water supply.
No, not at all. It doesn't fix the problem of the water supply. But if God is hardening his heart, he's not. He's
doesn't
not going to
care.
see it anyway. So then, when you read that into Scripture, you think, okay, well, then he just thinks that whatever Moses did is nothing but a mere party trick, because his people can do the same thing, right? So it doesn't fix the issue.
Yeah.
But as far as he's concerned, it's really a non-issue because my people can do it too.
How crazy, if you were Moses and you were sitting there and you threw down your rod and it turned a snake, and then those other guys threw down their rod and it turned into a snake too. Like, what would you like that split second? You'd be like, oh, I didn't know they could do that. God didn't tell me they could do that. You know what I mean? Like, you're just like,
But at the same token, he was raised in that culture, so he probably knew that they could do that. You know what I mean? He was
I mean,
raised.
he was raised in.
he was raised in the same court.
yeah, I don't know. I'm
I
just
know, I get what
saying,
you're saying.
There's not a whole lot said to that.
we don't really
as
know
far as that
but we also don't know what lifestyle he was in as far as being in there. Like, was he, I mean, like, if you watch the Prince of Egypt or whatever, he was out fighting battles, right? But that's not a biblical
Well,
thing stating of that.
so you do know that he wasn't in the best of minds because he did kill that Egyptian,
Right.
right?
But I'm saying, but it doesn't give us what
No.
what he was, what he did.
Well,
Obviously, with him being not a royal blood,
Yeah, but he
there was
still,
limitations he made.
But didn't Pharaoh's father, well, the Pharaoh's father that that Moses' surrogate grandfather, whatever, didn't he love Moses?
I mean,
that's
so-
the Prince of Egypt version.
well, but here's the deal. Okay, so even with that, there had to be something there because Pharaoh wouldn't just let, especially being a Hebrew child. Now I know the providence of God. That
Yeah.
you can't say any
Yeah.
of this without saying
The problem.
Yeah, but how-
regardless of all this is the providence.
But
of
this
God.
is just three guys talking about the history of
But
a situation.
how long was he hidden before he even knew about it? Because he was given back for a short time.
I don't think he was hidden that long because she still had to be able to nurse him.
But she gave him back
Right.
to be nursed.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So he still had to be. I don't think that he was hidden in the river long.
But what I'm saying is, like, at this point in time,
How long?
for the most part,
How long was he with them? Nursing
was with
and all
them,
that
because
stuff?
if he came back as a babe, that would be an instant. No, we know what this is. But by the time he grew up, maybe could develop. I'm sure that their characteristics were close enough that he could have blended in as an Egyptian.
I'm
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
You know what I'm
sure-
saying?
Yeah. I'm
They're the
sure
same
that
time,
he-
same.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, I
Pharaoh's
don't know.
daughter loved him, right? Like that's
Well, she had to.
Yeah.
She brought him in the house, made sure that he was
Yeah.
taken care of.
There is no family
Right.
correlation in the Bible as far as
It doesn't say.
what was represented.
I mean, like I said-
were they did,
but it's what's inferred.
well, it's inferred that he grew up in Pharaoh's house. That's, we know that for a fact. But to say, what was he being taught to be a scholar? Was he a man of war? Was he, in the fine arts? Those kinds of things.
If he was raised in Pharaoh's house, if Pharaoh treated him, even though he was a surrogate, if Pharaoh treated him in the sense that he was his family, he's going to get the same education as Pharaoh, in a sense. Because and the only reason why I portray that is because of go to Daniel, where he said that you got to find people that is able to be in my presence.
Yeah,
he's gonna get some of that, because you're not gonna be in the
but
presence
there's other
of the
things
king.
too to think about too, is that Man, we have hit a lot of stuff. I love these kind of conversations. But another thing to think about too is that he was a man that stuttered, right?
Yeah.
So,
But did the stutter come
something like
after
that-
he was in the wilderness?
No,
we don't know that. The Bible didn't say anything
Doesn't
about that.
specify.
We just
Well,
know
that's
that
what I'm
he said
that he wouldn't
That-
go before Pharaoh when God was calling him because he couldn't speak right.
he said, Lord, you know I'm a man of slow speech. Is how he
Yeah.
is how he said,
Yeah,
which means that he either had maybe not necessarily a stutter.
He
But
could
it could
have
have been a
speech
slur,
a
it could
speech
have been
impediment,
a
something like
tied
that.
tongue.
Well, that's what I wasn't saying that was the case.
Yeah, yeah.
I was asking if.
I said stutter. I shouldn't have said that.
Well, it's
but,
not even.
yeah.
I'm not even talking about that. Did that develop after he had killed the Egyptian, was left, and went into
I
the
don't-
wilderness
I
on the
don't-
backside of a desert?
I don't think so.
No, I think it was.
I think it's just the way he was.
Okay.
But the Egyptians didn't really look at disability because half of their kings and stuff were
Inbred.
Inbred.
and they had a lot of deformities. There were a lot of cleft palates. And,
Well, and
things
some of
that
them were
sort.
worshipped. They were idolized for some of their infirmities. If I remember correctly, it might be thinking of a different society, but like when the deformity would happen, they would be glorified in their deformity or whatever.
That's in every civilization
Yeah.
because even the Brits were like that with
Yeah.
with the incest that had happened.
So could you imagine, though, living? I talked about this with my 8th graders and 7th graders. Could you imagine living in Egypt at the time, Egyptian or Jew, and the plagues come, the waters turn to blood, everything in the water dies? Which, could you imagine the smell?
Oh, the smell.
alone, especially for the fact that blood has this stench.
Just
too.
just the smell of the blood would be terrible.
Then you have frogs.
Terrible.
Dead fish.
Terrible.
You have the plague of the frogs, and when Pharaoh asks him to, call it back, they die.
Yeah, along with all the
Right.
cattle and everything else
Yeah.
dies too.
So then you have
The
that. You have
locust.
the locust, which eats all of the vegetation. You have the boils that come up. You've got the darkness. You have the beast of the field, the cattle of the field, they die. And then you have I'm going to just say meteors, but the hailstorm essentially is what it is. But you have that where they fall from the sky. They're so big that they're breaking trees, because that's what it says, breaking trees. And they say that anybody that's left out, beast or person, anybody that's not in their home will die if they don't heed the warning of God. This is to the Egyptians, because none of this happens to where the Israelites are at.
Yeah, it's all.
They're-
Was it Gilead?
Goshen. Goshen.
Yeah, that's it. Goshen. Yeah.
So-
it would start with a G.
So all this has happened with the Egyptians, not in the land where the Israelites dwell. So he tells them, if you hear this and you basically fear God, respect God, then you can go in your house and you and whoever's in your house is going to be safe. I mean, that in and of itself alone talks about how mighty the hand of God is, because it's big enough. All this stuff that's fallen from heaven is big enough to destroy a tree, but it's not going to go through this person's home. And it destroys all the earth, all the vegetation. And then like I said, what's not taken care of in the vegetation, the locust comes and finishes it off. So you have all their livestock that's being killed.
Yeah.
You have all their river and everything. Everything dies out in the river, in any type of
Within
pond
days.
or anything like that. You have boils, you have frogs, you have flies, you have, well,
if
think about all
if
that.
I'm an Egyptian, I'm like, people protest over stupid stuff. If I'm an Egyptian in this time, I'm like going to Pharaoh, like, hey, dude, like, what's going on here? Can we just let him go?
They're just not going to walk up in there.
Well, but the servants of Pharaoh and Pharaoh's hearts were hardened.
I get that.
That's the key to the whole thing. And so the people, they don't have the right to go before the Pharaoh.
Yeah, well, he didn't. Yeah, and I get that part, but I just don't.
But
It's
with
so
all that,
crazy to me.
I'll tell you what amazes me with all of this. Okay, so let's say you're an Egyptian. I just think it's amazing how God works. And we can tie this in with us today, because I've been thinking about this a lot. All of this happens. Moses is, quote unquote, the bringer of these plagues, because God sent him, right? So he's God's messenger. Now, I know Aaron goes with him, but Moses was called on the backside of the desert. So essentially, Moses, in anybody's eyes, would be the one to blame, right? You brought this upon us.
Well, that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
he's
So-
a PR person.
right.
Yeah.
But the Bible reads that when Moses was going through the streets of Egypt, they had respect for him. They had reverence for him, for what he done, or for the person that he was. If you read that, and I can't remember exact wording, but the Egyptians themselves, I'm not
revered
talking
him.
about the servants, and I'm not talking about Pharaoh, because God's hardened their hearts. But even Israel has the reverence of,
You mean Egypt?
no, even the Israelites get the reverence of Egypt when Pharaoh finally tells them to leave. Because when you read that, they're able to take all their stuff. Israel
They
is.
spoil Egypt. Yeah.
They spoil Egypt, but they don't go in forcibly. The Egyptians give them
Well,
everything.
and not just that, but there's a mixed multitude that leave with them.
Yeah. So they spoil Egypt, but the Egyptians are giving it to them, gladly giving it to them.
How
So
how easy is it for us to look at all these plagues, and like in Sunday school, it's like I don't know how it works for you in your guys' mind, but like when we would go through the plagues, and it's like, well, God did this and God did that, and like in my mind, I'm like, okay, and then like it resets, like nothing happened, and then this day, like it's like a fresh, clean
Yeah.
slate. But when you really think about everything that happened,
there was no fresh.
it all
clean
just
slate.
it's just mounded up,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
all this death.
Egypt's not a place you want to go.
No,
But when I ended that, because I read that all the time, right? It's a Sunday school lesson. It's all that stuff. When I read that, I'm looking at it and I'm going, when I read that end where it said that Israel spoiled Egypt, the Egyptians gladly gave them all their stuff. And Moses walked with reverence. He was revered. And I think about today when we look at it and we think, man, this life is just too hard to live because, people look down on us and they do all that. In all honesty, if you hold a standard, if you're doing what God wants you to do, they're not going to accept you. People's not just going to come in and say, you're going to have those people go against you. But if you stay that man, if you stay that person, I guarantee you, whether they want to agree with it or not, the one thing that will come out of it is they'll still say, well, I got to respect him because he stood with his convictions. He stayed with his, you can't, people tend to find, I've heard so many people badmouth preachers. I mean, they'll blow the preachers away,
yeah.
destroy them, talk bad about them, all this stuff. But when it comes down to it, who is it that they're going to when something happens in their life?
Number one, the preacher.
It's that person, preacher, and I'll even expand it because I say preachers, and the reason why I say preachers is not because other people doesn't matter. It's because preachers tend to be the ones that's seen more on the forefront. But any Christian, any child of God that's called out, that's saved, that's brought out, that's living a life separated from the world, and you're separated, you're standing against sin, you're shining your light, all that stuff. Look, we face it, right? The world's heart's hardened towards the church. Today's a little bit different, but I don't have time to get into all that. But for the most part, the message of true salvation through Jesus Christ, that the world's hardened to that,
Yeah.
right? But when it comes down to it, if we continue in the path and we continue standing, we do not waver, but we stand as the people of God with the convictions that God has placed in us, knowing that we're living the life that is right because the Word of God says, because God has told us. At the end of the day, they see that. It catches their attention. And that reading that with Moses and the Egyptians, even with all of that, as terrible as that time was, reading all of that, I read that and I think, man, Moses was able to walk down the streets of Egypt with everything, and they still had respect for him. That amazes me.
Too scared to say something against him.
Well, I was about to say there was probably a healthy little amount of fear in that, but I get what
Okay,
you're saying. But
but hold on.
I understand what you're saying.
So reverence or fear? I don't think it's fear. I think it's reverence.
I think there was a mixture of both. I think
think
you
it's
have
both.
to have
Well,
reference.
you have to have
and
fear to revere, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think it's fear that they thought that if they said a word to him,
I
that
think-
they're going to be struck dead.
Not just that, but I think they were saying, okay, Pharaoh. We're saying Pharaoh's God. Pharaoh has not done a single thing to stop these things, and here we have a man showing us who God
Truly is.
is.
It's a reverence. there becomes a reverence.
It's not. It's more than it's reverence and enlightenment to what the lies that they have been fed, saying that this decrepit man is the one supposed to be our savior.
I think, to be fair, and I promise I won't take this long. To be fair, all leaders of like dictators and stuff like that with Pharaoh and all that, one of the primary ways they're able to keep their kingdom in subjection is fear, right? They fear their leader. So no doubt the children of Egypt, calling them the children of Egypt, feared Pharaoh. And like you said, there is a reverence. But at the same time, I try to put myself in the mindset of all this stuff is happening to my land. I'm terrified of the guy. So yeah, and you brought up like, if you say something, he may strike you dead. Like maybe that was a legitimate fear. And I'm not saying that they weren't reverent in your way. I'm not saying that. I'm not disagreeing. But there had to be a level of fear when Moses, because
that's what Ryan said.
Well, if you associate like from the children, like, and to give their stuff, you were talking about they would give it gladly. Well, if the children of Israel were leaving and all this bad stuff would stop happening, I'd gladly give them what I needed.
But it's not how the Bible words it, though.
I know, but I'm just.
And here's the other thing, and this is the other thing that you got to take into context. Egypt was not a godless nation. They believed in gods. They were, if you want to put it in terms, they were religious. They worshipped Pharaoh. They worshipped all the gods.
Yeah, they were a polytheistic nation.
They were a quote unquote religious nation.
Yeah.
So if anybody understood what it meant to have respect and reverence and reverence is a fear. There is a fear there. It's not a fear that for us we say it's a fear. It's not a fear. I revere my dad. I wouldn't do anything to go against him, but I'm not afraid to talk to him either. There's a respect there.
Yeah, but I don't think that they were. I don't think they had a. I don't think it was a healthy fear that they had of Moses. I think what they were terrified. I do believe.
How could you not be? When he came through your land, right after he left, you have the blood, you have the locust, you have the meteor, the hailstorm, you have the darkness, you have the angel, you have all of these things that are happening whenever this man comes into your town.
Not just that, there was no spirit to bring them into a reverence of that sort. You know what I'm saying? So it was, we worshiped whoever had the biggest stick.
And Moses
That's kind of how I feel about it.
And Moses had the biggest stick
because they had several gods. Each god had their place in.
Yeah, but they were gods that worked together. They weren't
to a degree,
weren't, but they all had a job and function and upon their mythology.
Right, but for that moment,
they reverenced.
They got shown a bigger god.
They got to see a bigger god, and so for people,
which made them fearful for their lives.
For people who were already religious. It opens up their eyes.
Well, you question your whole theology.
They're hearing what Moses is saying. It's not Moses. You know for a fact that they hear that Moses says that it's God who said, "Let my people go." And then they're seeing this mighty power and display. They've seen some displays already because they too also, that's in their culture. So they've seen all that stuff. I'm just saying, to me, I really, truly believe that it shows that if you live a life right before people, because God did not harden the total heart of Egypt.
It was Pharaoh.
He only hardened Pharaoh's and the servants of Pharaoh.
Right. I'm not saying, saying that there's not a respect, but I do believe that the major reason that they were so cooperative is because they were scared for their life.
They just wanted him out.
I do think, because as much as, okay, how can let's put it in our modern day terms? Like,
that's
America is very strong, right? Or used to be very strong. Used to be the strongest nation. I don't know where we are standing. That's a whole other thing. But like, I would be fearful if Vladimir Putin was to walk down our streets.
Yeah, I would be too. But at the same time, I'm not giving him my stuff.
You may not have a choice, but here you got to also think. No. Here's another thing you also got to think too. Half of Egypt the population is gone.
Oh, I know. I agree.
The Israel already outnumbered them before these plagues. So I think the reverence, you had no choice but to revere the man. But at the same time, they had no choice but to just say, we can't fight back.
When you said
But here's the thing, though. Again, read it. The children of Israel didn't go to Egypt to spoil it. There was never a condition for Israel to grab the stuff out of Egypt. Never that
but
condition.
they gave it to him.
Yeah, and there was never anything where it said, "You take our stuff."
I
take it all."
remember it reading saying, and they left with the spoils of Egypt.
Yeah, they spoiled.
I guess I'd have to
Egypt-
see the verse again, 'cause I don't know.
Egypt gave it to them.
But my thought process with that, the Egyptians knew that God is telling through Moses to tell Pharaoh to let Israel go, and like you said, not all of Egypt, his heart was hardened. So if in their minds, trying to put my own thought process in this and being reverent to they're a religious nation, obviously their gods are doing nothing for them, and Moses' God is doing everything against them. If you put us in a situation where this particular person comes in and leaves and everything bad happens every time, and all the condition is to make the bad things stop, the children of Israel just have to leave. That's all they have to do. I would, if I found out that Israel was finally leaving and all of the bad things were stopping at this point, because their God is so much better than our God, like, I'll give you my stuff. Just get out of here so I can have my life back. Go away. Get out of here. So in a way, I do think that they would give them away happily.
So the scripture says this. And the Egyptian, this is Exodus chapter 12, verse 33. And the Egyptians were urgent upon the people that they might send them out of the land in haste, for they said, we be all dead men. And the people took their dough before it was leavened, their kneading troughs being bound up in their clothes upon their shoulders. And the children of Israel did according to the word of Moses. And they borrowed of the Egyptians jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment. And the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of Egyptians, so that they lent unto them such things that they required, and they spoiled the Egyptians and the children of Israel. So God made a way for them to say, to take those things.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying though. Like if I was an Egyptian.
Yeah, but giving them favor could mean a lot of things. It doesn't necessarily,
I'm just thinking my thought process. I'm not, and like I said, I know there's scripture, and I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. I'm not. I just think
that I think we agree, but in a different
they're men
form. I think that the natural man would be terrified.
No doubt. But at the end of the day, they could not look. This is the point of it all. They could not look at Israel without saying, they truly have that one God.
Yeah. We agree with you on that part.
Which is what I read. When I read that still takes me back to this day, because we live in this time of wicked world and wicked sin.
Yeah.
And you have so many people that think that we have to conform, or we have to do this, we have to do that, we have to go this route, we have to take that route, get rid of service, take on new stuff, let's do new activities, let's do all this and everything else. When truly, in all honesty, God is the one that will, one way or the other,
that makes the way,
that can make it to the point to where they can say, regardless of whether or not we agreed, we liked, we even believed, we can see that there was truth to this. And that was the one thing that the children, that Egypt had no choice. They seen God. They seen God in his wrath and in his power. But the other thing that they seen is they also seen that when they were in darkness, Israel was still in light. So they seen that it wasn't just that all of this happened. He was showing who his people were.
Well, and I think that's what we're saying is we agree, but I don't think that we necessarily agree that they would have voted him as leader. Is what I'm saying.
I'm not saying that it wasn't that they didn't have a fear as far as fear for their life.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. I understand that.
I think that was the tool that God used to give them that favor to go in and grab those.
Which, in all honesty, is that not what he does now?
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Well, God's not throwing fireballs on people anymore.
Well,
as right now, it's going to happen again. But
I think, look, I'll say something here, and you might want to edit it out. That's fine. But I do think he does in a degree. I think 9/11 happened because God allowed the gates to be.
I think Katrina happened because of it.
Well, I agree.
Well, yeah.
So all of that is done.
But it doesn't. It's not in a supernatural power coming down.
You don't have
and
locust.
destroying. You know what I'm saying?
Locust.
I
It's
agree.
not. That's what I'm saying. Like
Right.
I understand what you're saying. Obviously, God judges the nations,
Yeah.
and that does happen. I mean, that's why you see all these crazy storms coming through and taking things out. I mean, yeah. I mean, the Lord obviously removes His hands of mercy on some things so that He can bring back a reprieve and to try to draw people back to Him. So, yeah, I agree with that statement.
But he had to do that specific thing for Egypt. He had to do that for Egypt
yeah,
because Egypt was so religious.
What
They-
I think he showed who he
yeah, and that's
was.
what
Right,
we were saying
right.
as far as they
So
see
he
their
had to-
gods.
right.
This is the power that they're saying their intercessor is Pharaoh, who is a god in their mind, and then they're seeing Moses, who's just a man, and he's representing
Right.
his God. Yeah, I think
I do
that's where
think-
we agree.
And right, but I also think because the Bible does tell them, and I know we got time. The Bible does say that they never have to deal with Egypt no more after the Red Sea closes, and that's really it. You don't hear about where they fight Egyptians anymore and all that stuff. I guarantee you, and and you'd have to read into it or whatever, but I guarantee you, in the time of that, I guarantee you they would say, you know what, that they might not have that fear because Moses is gone, but I guarantee you that they still have a reverence.
For
Yeah.
the
Because
God of
their
Israel.
God, because their God was
Not just that, but after that, they were taken over like 1,600
Yeah.
times.
but the people themselves through the years,
yeah,
there was a different reverence.
yeah. They
Absolutely.
still. Well, now it's a predominantly Islamic nation, so
Yeah.
obviously that Egyptian stuff isn't. The hocus pocus isn't there anymore.
Yeah, there's no Pharaoh.
Right. I just think that it's neat because it does say that you can still hold on to your integrity and you can still hold on to your faith. You can still live the life that God told you to live. And you can, one way or the other, you'll find favor. We're not finding favor by God throwing fireballs and locusts and all that stuff, obviously. But at the same time, if we're portraying His love and His
Yeah.
power,
He still gives us stuff to demonstrate.
We find favor.
we find favor.
We find favor. I agree.
Well, what do you guys think? Obviously, this is a crazy conversation, and as crazy as it is, these are my favorite kind of conversations out in the middle of the weeds. Maybe we'll have to do more deep diving into Bible stories that just drive us crazy and try to get some greater understanding on the backside. But thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll catch you next week.
See ya.
See you, buddy.